Don't be Todd. Good morning.
It's good to talk with you, though, from Bradenton, Florida. My goodness, it's getting closer, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we're about halfway through spring training because the regular season begins so much earlier than it ever had before. It always fools me. I always think that it's going to be into April, but no, about 2.5 weeks until the regular season opener in Miami for the Pirates.
Amazing. So have you been enjoying your time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I get to watch a baseball game every day. And I think what's really fun about that is, of course, the weather, but also, you see a lot of young players, you see them develop and do things maybe a little bit better than they did the year before. And so hopefully that's going to happen, universally with the Pirates as a team so far this year coming up.
I've always wondered that. We talked to ex-players, we talked to broadcasters as well, professional broadcasters, who that's been their career, and that's the case with you. And do you see, can you physically see that this guy's doing, that Nick Gonzalez is so much better at this year than he was last year at this time, that guys like that, can you see that physical development over the course of a year from spring training to spring training?
Sometimes, and I think, when you talk about physical development, sometimes you see a guy and you go, wow, he's put on some muscle, he's getting a little bit older, he put on some muscle. Sometimes you see it in the way that he plays the game. And I think in a lot of cases with the Pirates, let's say there's a leadoff double or even it could be a walk and a stolen base, but there's a man at second, nobody out. And it's a right-handed batter up. And he's trying to hit the ball to the right side to advance the runner. And whether and maybe it's on an inside pitch, which is even more difficult to hit to the right side. But that way the runner gets to third, even on a bounce out, and maybe he shoots one through a hole and gets a base hit. And it's just that kind of smart, winning style, unselfish style of hitting that I think I'm seeing more often with the team. You're never going to have a team that does that 1 through 9, and you kind of don't want to, because some guys, you don't want them to do that. You want them to just keep swinging for the fences because they're so good at it. But for the most part, the Pirates need to be a team like that, I think, offensively, is that they're moving runners, maybe swiping a bag, maybe a hit and run once in a while, taking the extra base on a single, for instance, getting from first to third, things like that. And it's not to say they didn't do that, but I like to see them do that more often coming up this year. And I think they'll be able to score more runs doing that, not only playing a better brand of baseball, I think, more often, but also, like I said, some of these guys, they have very little major league experience. They're starting to get there. A lot of the guys have gotten married in the off season. I think that can settle things down too. So I think you're starting to see a really young group start to become a little bit more experienced and hopefully really realize their potential here this season.
Yeah, they're learning the game. It's what they're doing. Kutch even said that before spring training began. He said the little things are the things that really make a difference a lot of time in these one-run ball games especially. You do those little things right, you're going to win a lot more games.
Yeah, and these are things that teams can control. Again, the opposing team is trying to prevent you from doing so much. You can attempt to steal, but they could throw you out. You could go from first to third, but they could throw you out. But for the most part, if you're doing it sensibly, and you're putting yourself in position, with good secondary leads, for instance, and those are things we can watch because we've been watching a lot of baseball, and for any of you that have played or just watch a lot too, and you see those things. A little bit harder to see it on television per se than if you're at the game. But you're getting that good secondary lead, so that way there's a ball in the dirt and you can take off. You're ready to go. Things like that. That's the kind of stuff that I've been looking forward to see if there's a little bit more of that, which I feel like there has been. And so if you see that more regularly, and the guys, hold each other accountable. Hey, I saw you yesterday. You didn't do that. And instead of getting bent out of shape about it, say, oh, I need to challenge myself to do that so that we give the team a better chance of winning. So hearing some more of those types of conversations, let's see. Let's see if that does translate into the regular season. But if it does, they're going to win more games. They're going to score more runs because they're playing that kind of baseball. So hopefully that does indeed move over into the regular year when that comes up.
Yeah. One of the things I've noticed about this training camp, this spring training, is that there's so much attention on the pitchers, and particularly Paul Skeens, that stories that in other years would be really, really major stories aren't so much. We're not hearing as much about them, but I'm really fascinated this year by watching the Oneil Cruz story. Number one, last year at this time we were saying how much of a player can Oneil Cruz be coming back off that devastating injury, and then almost 3/4 of the way through the season he gets moved to center field, and this would be a major thing for me. To watch what happens with him in this spring training. But we're not hearing as much about it. He's just doing the work is what we're understanding. He's getting out there and he's swinging the bat and he's playing the center field and he's learning that position and doing very, very well.
That's why I like our conversations, Todd, because, I think you can catch me as being maybe overlooking Cruz a little bit too, because, if the Pirates are going to take off and not even just be a better team this year, but I mean, if they're going to be a playoff team and maybe make noise in the playoffs and really contend for a pennant in the World Series, they need Oneil Cruz to be a star, and he has all the capabilities doing that. Now, I'm not trying to put pressure on the guy, but look, last year certainly he had missed a whole season of baseball. And he had not had that much major league experience. You didn't expect the world from him, but he still put up 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Only Andrew McCutchen and Barry Bonds among Pirates at age 25 or younger had a 2020 season. Mm-hmm. And then it got me to think, because Kutch said that Cruz's ceiling is limitless, and I have to agree. I mean, he has all the physical traits of the very best players who have ever played the game. Then you think, the other name was Bonds on there. And, I was thinking back to, Bonds wasn't Bonds when he first came up. He was a very good player right away, but he wasn't the best player in baseball right away. He was very fast and maybe a good defender, but he really grew into being outstanding, the MVP that he was with the Pirates, and then, of course, with the Giants later on. But I'm just talking the Pirates version. And so I said, okay, well, how many plate appearances does Oneil Cruz have in his major league career? Just over 1,000. That's it. So it's the equivalent of, maybe almost 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Where was Bonds at that time in his career? And I'm not saying Cruz could be Bonds, but they're the same. I mean, it's the same numbers. It's crazy to think about that. So, it reminds me that, okay, we expect so much from Cruz because he really does have the potential to do anything in this game. The very best players often are not outstanding right out of the gates, like you said with Paul Skeens. Skeens was that's something that you almost never ever see. It's a once in a century type performance for a starting pitcher as a rookie. It really was. Mm-hmm. So with Cruz, hey. Right now he's on the same trajectory as Bonds offensively. That's pretty good. So let's just keep watching. But this could be a very big season for him, of course. And if it is, then it could be a very big season for the Pirates. You're right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's cool stuff. When Bonds came up, all people could talk about was Ken Griffey. So yeah. All right. So Joe Block, here's the big thing today. Hollywood Reporter puts out a list of what they call the 10 best baseball movies ever. Field of Dreams is not on that list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's surprising.
Major League is not on that list either.
Oh, I'm gonna fight for Major League too. Obviously, working with one of the stars of that movie for a long time.
Yeah.
So here's, I hadn't seen the list, but I'm gonna throw out my 2 cents and see if this bounces at all.
Okay.
For me, baseball used to be very much a sentimental person's sport, mm-hmm. and I'm wondering if at least in that ranking, there aren't that many of the sentimental movies anymore. Is that so, or how has that changed things in your viewpoint?
Actually, there are some of those sentimental movies. My number one ever is The Natural, and The Natural's number 5 on this list. And that's as sentimental a movie as you get.
Oh, absolutely.
Bull Durham as well. That to me is one that has that sort of that old time feel to it, and that's on the list. That's number 3. But here you go. Have you ever heard of the baseball movie Boiling Point?
Well, I just did. That's the first time I've heard of it.
It's
I haven't.
a Japanese movie from 1990. That's number 10. And then The Pride of the Yankees with Gary Cooper as Lou Gehrig. That's number 9.
That's a tearjerker. Oh, man. Yes, it is.
What about the movie Sugar from 2008?
No, I haven't seen that one. So
Bang the Drum Slowly.
Oh, yeah, that's another really sad one. That's probably the saddest baseball movie I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Bang the Drum Slowly. Yeah.
A League of Their Own is number 6.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah. And then, as I said, The Natural 5. Fear Strikes Out is number 4.
Okay.
Jimmy Pearsall. Bull Durham, number 3. Moneyball is number 2. That doesn't make my top 10. Sorry. And
there's a lot of good baseball movies. I don't know if that's in the top 10. Yes, and it was a good movie.
8 Men Out is number 1.
You can make an argument for that.
Yeah,
that's a fun conversation. I haven't ever thought about that, but there really are a dozen movies that you could say is the best baseball movie, and I think you named a lot of them. Whether they're on that top 10 or not, but I think you named a lot of them. Too.
But Field of Dreams is not there. That's weird. That's not right.
my favorite, not popular baseball movie. What is it called? The Boy from Left Field or something like that. It's Gary Coleman and Robert Guillaume, and Gary Coleman plays a child, and he's so smart about baseball that he eventually becomes the San Diego Padres manager. But his dad has to be the manager, and then he from the stands shows him okay, you should steal here or whatever, because they didn't want to hire a kid to be the manager. They wanted to hire an adult. But then they find out that it's really the kid behind the scenes that's pulling all the levers. And so Gary Coleman becomes the manager of the Padres.
Joe Block's Under the Radar movie. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Kid from Left Field, I think, is what it's called.
Smooth. All right, Joe, you on the game tonight?
Yes, 6:00. Night game tonight.
Beautiful. I'm Mitch Keller on the mound. Hey, Joe, thanks for spending some time with us today.
No, that was fun, Todd. Thanks again.
Have a great day.
And you too.
There's Joe Block of the Pittsburgh Pirates, brought to you by A&A Construction. It's Indiana in the Morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com.